The hum of the ancient starship was the first thing he noticed. It was soft at first, almost soothing, like a heartbeat he had long forgotten. Then, as his senses sharpened, he realized it was irregular. Some parts mechanical, some almost organic. He tried to move, but his body felt stiff, heavy, as if time itself had pressed down upon him. Eyes opening, he saw the ceiling of the cryo chamber, its surface scratched and faded. He could make out the faint reflections of lights flickering here and there. His mind swirled, memories incomplete and blurred. He remembered Earth, cities bustling with life, laughter. The scent of rain on soil, the touch of hands, but all seemed distant. Like a dream fading with the dawn, he forced himself up. Legs shaking, muscles aching from long inactivity. The chamber hissed and emitted a fine mist, cooling the air. Surrounding him were dozens of similar chambers, all empty, silent. Panic began to rise, but he quelled it, focusing instead on what mattered. He had woken. The ship was quiet, too quiet. He wandered down long corridors lined with smooth metal panels, the echoes of his steps bouncing back like whispers from the past. Dust floated in the light that filtered through cracked windows, showing glimpses of stars. Stars that had not existed when he last remembered looking at the sky. Time had passed, so much time. A broken display panel flickered to life when he approached it. Numbers, dates, and unfamiliar symbols scrolled across its screen. One sequence froze him in place, 15,000 years. His heart skipped a beat. 15,000 years. That number was impossible yet undeniable. Humanity as he knew it had vanished long ago. Memories surged back. Missions, plans, dreams of reaching beyond Earth, exploring the stars. And now he was alone. Not just alone in the ship, but in the universe he had once called home. The thought was terrifying. The stars outside seemed to mock him, indifferent to the survival of a single human. He needed answers. First, he accessed the ship's central computer. Its voice, soft and metallic, greeted him with a delay, as if awakening from the same long sleep he had endured. The logs were fragmented but clear enough. Humanity had spread, colonized distant worlds, and yet something catastrophic had occurred. Ships had stopped returning. Communications had fallen silent. Entire colonies vanished. The reality sank in slowly. Humanity was gone. Not extinct, perhaps, but vanished from the stars, leaving behind only traces in ancient archives and derelict stations. He felt a strange mix of grief and awe. The universe was vast, but the absence of his species was a hole that echoed through the void. Despite the fear, determination arose within him. If humanity had vanished, he would survive, understand, and perhaps find a way to bring it back, or at least honor it. The first step was survival. The ship, though aged, was still functional. He repaired basic systems, guided by the ship's AI, which had reactivated fully after sensing his life signs. Days passed. He explored the vessel, learning its structure, its secrets, its storage of knowledge from a time long forgotten. Food supplies, medical pods, tools, and energy cells were preserved perfectly, as if waiting for someone like him. He rationed carefully, aware that space was unforgiving and waste could be fatal. As he moved through the ship, he discovered fragments of humanity's past, records of exploration, research, art, and culture. Holographic images of cities, forests, oceans played before his eyes. Music echoed faintly in the corridors, almost sad, almost comforting. He realized that though humanity was gone, its legacy had been preserved here, waiting for someone to witness it again. One day, while scanning the nearby star systems, he noticed something unusual. A faint signal, barely perceptible, emanated from a distant point beyond the known charts. It was rhythmic, almost deliberate. He leaned over the console, tracing its origin. Unlike the random bursts of cosmic radiation or the distant hum of stars, this signal was structured, intentional. Hope sparked within him. Could this signal be from other survivors? Or remnants of humanity somehow preserved? The possibility was almost overwhelming. He prepared the ship for travel, checking engines, navigation, and life support. It would be dangerous. The signal was far, perhaps beyond anything recorded in human history, but the chance of connection, of discovery, was worth it. Yet even as he focused on this new goal, he felt the weight of solitude pressing down. Nights, if they could be called that in the endless vacuum of space, were filled with memories and questions. He wondered if he had been chosen, or if survival was merely coincidence. He wondered what he would find at the end of this signal. and he wondered whether he was ready to face it alone. He spent another day exploring the ship's archives and came across a personal message from a long-lost colleague. Their voice, preserved perfectly, spoke of hope, perseverance, and the dream of reaching the stars. Tears welled in his eyes. Even after 15,000 years, he felt the connection, the echo of humanity's spirit. At that moment, he understood something profound. Humanity was not just a species, it was a force of curiosity, courage, and willpower. Even if the bodies were gone, the spirit remained, hidden in the stars, in the machines, in the records. He was not merely surviving, he was carrying a torch that had been lit long ago. Preparations completed, he initiated the ship's engines, feeling the vibrations beneath him. The stars stretched ahead, endless and unforgiving. The signal's rhythm guided him, faint but insistent, through the darkness. Each jump forward in space brought new wonders, planets with strange colors, moons with frozen lakes, remnants of other civilizations long vanished. The universe was both beautiful and lonely, yet with each passing moment he felt a growing sense of purpose. This journey was no longer just about survival. It was about discovery, about understanding the fate of humanity, and perhaps about reigniting its flame. He would face dangers, unknown entities, and mysteries that could challenge the very fabric of reality, but he was ready. The universe awaited, and for the first time in 15,000 years he felt alive. And somewhere, in the void ahead, the signal pulsed again, steady, deliberate, and full of promise. It was a call he could not ignore. The ship hummed steadily as he guided it through the black expanse of space. Stars stretched endlessly in every direction, distant and silent, yet somehow full of stories. Each twinkle reminded him of Earth, of cities filled with life, of oceans and forests. He missed it all, but he had to focus. The faint signal pulsing ahead was his only clue to something. Or someone. As he followed the signal, he scanned nearby star systems. Most were empty, barren, or hostile. Asteroids drifted lazily, some glowing faintly with trapped sunlight. He avoided most, but occasionally he collected rare minerals, a small reminder that even in emptiness, resources existed. His mind wandered to humanity's past, how they had dreamed of reaching the stars, of building a lasting legacy. And now he was the last to witness it. Days passed in isolation. Time felt strange aboard the starship, with no sun rising or setting, only the endless hum of machinery and the faint blinking of distant stars. He kept busy, repairing engines, scanning signals, and studying the ship's archives. He discovered records of humanity's colonies, planets rich with life, thriving civilizations, and advanced technology. But each record ended abruptly, marked by the same date, a few decades after his time. Something catastrophic had stopped humanity, leaving only this drifting vessel as a witness. Despite the growing weight of loneliness, he pressed on. The signal became stronger as he approached a dense star cluster, a region filled with dying suns and drifting debris. It pulsed rhythmically like a heartbeat, drawing him deeper into the void. He checked the ship's sensors carefully. No life signs, no anomalies, yet the energy reading was unmistakable. He wondered who or what could still send such a signal after thousands of years. Perhaps it was a surviving colony, hidden and secret, or maybe an automated system left behind by humanity to guide future explorers. The thought excited him. He wasn't just following a signal. He might be walking the path of human legacy itself. As the ship neared a massive asteroid field, the signal fluctuated suddenly. Alerts flashed on the console, warning of unstable gravity pockets and energy surges. He skillfully maneuvered the ship, dodging collisions by mere seconds. The thrill of danger reminded him of the missions he had undertaken centuries ago, when survival depended on skill, wit, and courage. It was easy to feel small in the vast universe, but he knew that determination made even a single human significant. Finally, he reached the source of the signal. What appeared before him was astonishing. A floating research station, partially destroyed, orbiting a pale, frozen planet. Its metal hull was scorched in places, windows shattered, yet faint light still blinked in the darkness. The station seemed almost alive, as if struggling to maintain itself. The signal was coming from here. Docking carefully, he entered the station. Silence greeted him, broken only by the hiss of his breathing suit and the faint hum of the station's remaining systems. He wandered through long corridors, some collapsed, others eerily intact. Holographic images flickered intermittently, showing human scientists working, studying, and living. He could see the care and dedication in their expressions, the hope for knowledge that had pushed humanity to the stars. In the main laboratory, he found the source of the signal, a massive, cylindrical machine humming with energy. A console displayed complex sequences of numbers, mathematical codes, and fragments of messages. Though partially corrupted, the data seemed deliberate, carefully preserved. Whoever or whatever had sent this signal wanted it found. While decoding the information, he discovered more than he expected. The messages spoke of energy experiments, attempts to manipulate cosmic forces, and the creation of devices that could travel far beyond known space. But the records also warned of dangers, uncontrolled energy, interference from unknown entities, and the fragility of human life in the face of the universe's vast power. He realized that humanity had not vanished by chance. Something had forced them to disappear, scattering them across space or erasing them from existence entirely. Yet the signal was proof that humans had survived in some form, leaving behind a trail of knowledge, a path for those who came later. He felt a surge of determination. If anyone could find humanity again or preserve what remained, it would be him. As he worked, the station's environment fluctuated. Lights dimmed and flickered. Outside the windows, strange energy waves pulsed through the void, bending starlight and creating patterns that seemed almost deliberate. He paused, studying the phenomenon. Could it be the signal interacting with some unknown cosmic force? Or was it a warning? A defense mechanism left by the station's creators? He didn't have long to ponder. The station shuddered, throwing him against a console. Alarms blared. The energy source was unstable, growing in intensity. He had to act quickly. Using the ship's interface, he began to stabilize the machine, carefully rerouting power and monitoring the energy pulses. Each adjustment was tense, requiring precision and patience. A single mistake could destroy the station, and him with it. Hours passed, though they felt like days. Finally, the energy levels balanced, the alarms ceased, and the signal resumed its steady rhythm. He leaned back exhausted yet exhilarated. Not only had he survived, but he had also preserved humanity's message, keeping the link to the past alive. As he reviewed the decoded information, he noticed something alarming. Hidden within the sequences were traces of another presence. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but unmistakable. Something or someone was watching, waiting, or perhaps traveling alongside the signal. He realized that he was not entirely alone. Fear rose within him, but it was accompanied by excitement. The universe was vast and full of unknowns. Encounters with alien life, remnants of ancient civilizations, or unknown cosmic forces were possible. He had survived 15,000 years to witness humanity's legacy. Now he would face whatever came next. He spent the next cycle preparing the ship for departure. The station had provided resources, repair kits, energy modules, and maps of nearby star systems. The signal indicated a course farther into uncharted space, beyond known charts, toward regions untouched by human exploration. Each star, each planet along the path was a mystery waiting to be unraveled. Before leaving, he paused to honor the station. Though humans had vanished, their efforts, knowledge, and spirit remained. He activated a small holographic tribute, projecting the faces and names of the scientists who had labored here. For a moment, he felt connected to a past that had seemed irretrievably lost. Humanity's memory was alive in him, and he carried it forward. Launching from the station, he followed the signal into the silent stars. The journey was long, filled with breathtaking views of cosmic wonders, nebulas glowing with brilliant colors, planets with rings made of ice and rock, and the distant twinkle of stars that might never be seen by human eyes again. Each jump through space brought him closer to the unknown. He encountered strange gravitational anomalies, fields of dark matter, and remnants of ships long forgotten. But the signal remained steady, guiding him through the darkness like a beacon of hope. At night, or what passed for night in the endless vacuum, he looked out at the stars, imagining the humans who had once gazed at the same sky. He thought of Earth, now a memory, and of the civilizations humanity had built. The signal was more than just energy. It was a call, a connection, a promise that something waited ahead. The part ended with him approaching a massive structure on the edge of a nebula. It was unlike any human creation he had seen, towering spires glowing with faint energy. partially hidden by clouds of cosmic dust. The signal's rhythm intensified here, almost urgent. He knew that whatever lay ahead would answer the questions he had carried for 15,000 years, yet it might also challenge everything he thought he knew about the universe, humanity, and himself. The ship drifted through the darkness, guided by the faint pulse of the signal. It was steady now, almost like a heartbeat cutting through the silence of space. Each pulse seemed to call him forward, urging him toward something unknown. His hands gripped the controls tightly, eyes scanning the endless stars. Despite the vast emptiness, he felt a strange sense of purpose. He was not merely floating through space. He was following the trail of humanity itself. The nearer he got to the source, the more unusual the space around him became. Clouds of colorful gas stretched across the void, glowing softly under the light of distant stars. Debris from forgotten civilizations floated among the nebulae, half-hidden remnants of ships and stations that had long fallen silent. He adjusted the ship's shields, careful not to collide with anything. The universe was breathtaking, but it was also unforgiving. As he approached a massive structure partially hidden in the swirling colors of the nebula, the signal pulsed stronger. It was coming from a station unlike any he had ever seen. Its architecture was both familiar and strange. Metallic towers stretched high, connected by bridges of energy that shimmered like liquid light. The station seemed alive, almost aware of his presence. He could feel it, a subtle vibration through the ship, as if the structure itself acknowledged him. Docking was challenging. The station's exterior was damaged in several places, and energy surges made the docking bays unstable. But he maneuvered carefully, using every ounce of skill he had learned over centuries of training. Finally, with a gentle thud, the ship locked in place. The signal pulsed stronger now, almost urgent, as if it wanted him to enter. Inside, the station was eerily quiet. The corridors stretched long and twisting, lit by a faint blue glow that came from panels embedded in the walls. Dust floated in the air, disturbed only by his movement. He activated his suit's sensors, scanning for life signs, but found none. Still, the energy readings were high. Whatever had created this station had left behind a powerful source of energy, one that still transmitted its message through the void. As he moved deeper into the station, he found rooms filled with strange devices, some of them humming softly, others completely dormant. Holographic displays flickered to life as he passed, showing images of humans working alongside machines, creating experiments that defied his understanding. It was clear that this station had once been a center of advanced research, a hub where humanity had pushed the boundaries of knowledge. In the central chamber, he discovered the source of the signal, a massive console surrounded by devices pulsing with energy. The console displayed patterns of numbers and symbols, sequences that seemed almost alive. He leaned over, studying them carefully. The signal was more than just energy. It was a message, encoded in a way that required thought and patience to understand. Hours passed as he worked, translating the sequences into readable data. The messages were fragmented, but the meaning became clear. Humanity had conducted experiments on deep space energy, attempting to harness forces far beyond their time. The station had been a hub for communication, sending signals across light years to keep in touch with distant colonies. But something had gone wrong. The messages hinted at dangers that had forced humanity to abandon their colonies, leaving them to drift silently in the void. As he decoded the messages, he felt a growing sense of awe. Humanity had not vanished because of weakness. They had faced challenges greater than most could imagine, and had left behind knowledge, hope, and guidance for those who might come after. He realized that the signal was not just a call, it was a roadmap, a way to understand what had happened, and perhaps a way to find others. Suddenly, the station shuddered. Alarms blared, red lights flashing along the walls. The energy sources in the room pulsed violently, throwing sparks into the air. He instinctively ducked, feeling the heat and vibration ripple through the chamber. The station was unstable, its systems struggling to maintain themselves after thousands of years of neglect. He acted quickly, rerouting power, adjusting the energy flow, and stabilizing the systems one by one. Each adjustment required precision, patience, and courage. A single mistake could destroy the station, or worse, erase the signal entirely. Sweat dripped down his face as he worked, but he refused to give up. Humanity's legacy depended on him now. Finally, after what felt like hours, the alarms ceased. The energy reading stabilized and the signal resumed its steady pulse. He exhaled deeply, relief washing over him. The station was alive again, and the message continued to shine like a beacon through the void. He had preserved it, and in doing so, had preserved a connection to humanity itself. But there was more. As he reviewed the data, he noticed subtle fluctuations in the signal, patterns that did not match human design. They were faint, almost imperceptible, but unmistakable. Someone or something was interacting with the signal. He felt a thrill of both fear and curiosity. The universe was not empty. Something watched, something aware of his presence, waiting for him to discover it. He knew he could not ignore it. The station had been sending the signal for thousands of years, guiding someone or something toward it. Now it had guided him, and whatever waited beyond this point might reveal the fate of humanity or challenge everything he thought he knew about the universe. Preparations for departure began immediately. He collected energy modules, repair kits, and navigation data from the station. He also recorded the information from the console, storing it in the ship's memory banks. Every piece of knowledge was precious. Every message could hold the key to understanding what had happened to humanity, or even to restoring it. As he launched the ship, the nebula stretched out before him, beautiful and terrifying. Colors swirled in ways that defied logic, casting strange shadows across the hull. He adjusted the navigation, following the signal into the unknown regions of space. Each jump brought him closer to the source, yet the questions multiplied. What was the presence behind the signal? Were there others, human or not, waiting for him? And what dangers might lie ahead? Time became fluid as he traveled. Days, weeks, perhaps months passed, he could not tell. The signal guided him through asteroid belts, past frozen planets and near black holes, all while maintaining its steady rhythm. He learned to trust it, to follow its pulse even when the universe seemed to resist. Every obstacle was a test of skill and will, and he passed them all, driven by hope and determination. One day the signal changed. Its rhythm became sharper, more urgent. The ship's sensors picked up energy fluctuations around a small, dim star. Something massive and unusual moved in the darkness, shadows that did not match the stars, objects that were neither rock nor ice. He slowed the ship, studying the readings carefully. Whatever waited here was intelligent, aware, and possibly dangerous. Fear crept into his mind, but he pushed it aside. Humanity had faced impossible challenges before. They had left behind knowledge, courage, and resilience. He was carrying that legacy now. Whatever awaited him, he would meet it with the same determination that had carried humans across the stars. The ship approached the source of the new energy fluctuations. Through the viewport, he saw shapes emerging from the darkness, structures or perhaps vessels moving with purpose. The signal pulsed rapidly, almost like a heartbeat racing in anticipation. He realized that the mystery was about to unfold. He took a deep breath, steadying himself. The universe was vast, unpredictable, and sometimes dangerous. Yet he felt alive in a way he had not felt in 15,000 years. He was a witness to the remnants of humanity, a carrier of its legacy, and now, a participant in a new chapter of discovery. As the shapes drew closer, he prepared the ship for contact. Sensors online, shields activated, and engines ready to maneuver, he waited. The signal pulsed one final time, steady and insistent, as if urging him forward. Whatever lay ahead would answer questions that had haunted him for millennia. And in facing it, he would take one more step toward understanding the fate of humanity and the vast universe they had once called home. The shapes in the darkness loomed larger as he approached. At first he thought they were just debris, fragments of forgotten ships or broken stations. But as he drew closer, the outlines sharpened, revealing a structure unlike anything human had ever built. Towering and geometric, it seemed both mechanical and alive, pulsating with a strange blue energy. The signal he had followed for so long now blended with a deeper rhythm, almost sentient in nature, calling him forward. The ship hovered at a safe distance, engines quiet, shields active. He studied the anomaly, scanning for life forms or energy signatures. The readings were unlike anything recorded in human history. Waves of energy that fluctuated and twisted, patterns that almost seemed to respond to his presence. He realized this was no ordinary station. It was something ancient, something that had existed long before humanity even dreamed of reaching the stars. Despite the uncertainty, curiosity and hope drove him closer. Humanity had left behind traces across the galaxy, but this was different. This structure was aware, intelligent, and possibly connected to the signal. Perhaps it held the key to understanding why humans had vanished, and maybe why he had survived. The ship docked carefully at an external bay, designed to accommodate vessels much larger than his own. As he entered the structure, the air shimmered with energy. It wasn't breathable, but his suit protected him. Every step echoed softly, yet the vibrations in the floor suggested the structure was alive, aware of his movements. He paused, listening to the hum of energy and the faint pulse of the signal, guiding him deeper into the unknown. Corridors twisted in impossible angles, walls glowing with strange symbols. He ran his hand along them, feeling a faint warmth. Somehow the structure communicated in ways that did not require words. He felt a connection, an understanding that the builders had intended for those who followed the signal. Somehow he knew he was meant to be here. In the central chamber, he found what appeared to be a control hub, filled with devices both alien and familiar. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing images of humans but not as he remembered them. These humans were explorers, scientists, and builders, interacting with beings of light energy forms that seemed to shift and change with every movement. The vision was fragmented, but it spoke of cooperation, discovery, and a shared purpose that transcended species. The signal pulsed faster, drawing him toward a platform at the center of the chamber. On it floated a small device about the size of his hand, emitting a soft blue light. It rotated slowly, responding to his approach. He reached out, and the moment his fingers touched the surface, a wave of information flowed into his mind. Images, sounds, concepts, all transferred without speech. He saw humanity spread across the stars, thriving, creating, and learning. Then he saw the turning point. A great energy wave, something beyond comprehension, sweeping across space. Humanity's colonies vanished or were cut off from each other. The device had been designed to preserve knowledge, to guide a survivor to this place so that one day someone could understand, continue, and perhaps restore what was lost. The revelation was overwhelming. Humanity had not simply disappeared. They had been forced into hiding, scattered or erased by forces beyond their control. Yet their spirit, their will to explore, had left a mark across the cosmos. He realized that the device in his hand was more than a machine. It was a key, a guide, and a message from humanity itself. Suddenly, the chamber vibrated. The shadows that had lingered in the corners seemed to shift and move toward him. He drew his weapon, cautiously scanning the room. The energy forms from the holograms were now visible, faint outlines of beings made of light and movement. They did not attack, but they observed, curious and cautious. One of the forms approached the device, its movement deliberate, almost respectful. It pulsed in rhythm with the signal as if acknowledging him. Though it did not speak, he felt a sense of communication, a transfer of understanding. The beings were guardians of the station, protectors of the knowledge humanity had left behind. They had waited for someone who could receive it, someone who could carry it forward. Hours passed, or perhaps moments. Time was strange here, as he interacted with the device and the beings. He learned about the energy flows that had caused humanity's disappearance. It was not malevolence that had swept across the stars, but natural forces of the universe amplified by human experimentation. The beings had tried to stabilize the energy to guide survivors, but only one could be reached directly. That survivor was him. The realization filled him with awe and responsibility. He was not just exploring. He was chosen to understand, preserve, and perhaps even restore what had been lost. The knowledge he received was immense. Ways to manipulate energy, principles of life preservation, and methods to communicate across unimaginable distances. Humanity's legacy was not dead. It was alive within him. As he prepared to leave the central chamber, the beings pulsed once more, almost in farewell. The device had stored the final piece of knowledge, ready for transport. He carried it carefully back to his ship, feeling the weight of history and the future pressing upon him. Every pulse of the signal now felt like a heartbeat of purpose guiding him onward. Outside, the structure shimmered against the nebula, magnificent and alive. The shadows had not followed, yet their presence lingered in his mind. He understood now that the universe was full of mysteries, forces, and intelligence far beyond human comprehension. But he also understood that humanity's spirit, curiosity, courage, and willpower, was strong enough to face it. He plotted a course back through the nebula, returning to known space. The device on board emitted a steady glow, pulsing with encoded messages that he could begin to decode. It was the next step in humanity's journey, a path he was now entrusted to follow. The journey back was not without danger. He navigated asteroid fields and gravitational anomalies, his skills tested by the unpredictable environment. Yet every challenge strengthened his resolve. The universe was vast and indifferent, but he was a human, carrying knowledge, determination, and the spark of a species that refused to vanish completely. During one long moment of travel, he paused to look out at the stars. Each one was a reminder of Earth, of humanity, of the worlds they had touched. He thought of the colonies lost, the dreams unfulfilled, and the people whose legacy he now carried. Though 15,000 years had passed, the essence of humanity endured, not in numbers but in will, knowledge, and courage. The signal pulsed steadily, guiding him to a distant point in space. He knew that beyond it lay more discoveries, perhaps remnants of human colonies or other mysteries left by the ancient beings he had encountered. Every jump, every maneuver, every pulse of energy brought him closer to answers and purpose. As Part 4 ended, he approached a distant star system, where strange energy patterns marked the location of another ancient station. The pulse of the signal was urgent, almost calling him like a friend or companion. He understood that the journey was far from over. The universe had more to reveal, and humanity's story was only beginning to be understood again. He tightened his grip on the controls, heart steady, mind alert. Whatever lay ahead, he was ready. The stars stretched before him, endless and full of promise. The signal in the void was no longer a mystery. It was a guide, a companion, and a challenge. And he would follow it, carrying humanity's legacy into the unknown, one step at a time. The distant star system glowed faintly ahead, shrouded in misty clouds of cosmic dust. The ship's engines thrummed softly, guiding him closer to the signal's source. For 15,000 years, humanity had vanished, yet their legacy had persisted across the stars, encoded in devices, stations, and messages left for anyone who might survive. Now he carried that legacy. Every pulse of the signal felt like a heartbeat, calling him onward, reminding him that discovery and courage were the essence of humanity. As he approached the outer edge of the system, unusual energy readings appeared on the sensors. Waves of power fluctuated unpredictably, creating distortions in space itself. He slowed the ship, adjusting shields and stabilizers. The source of the signal was near, but the area was volatile. He could see fragments of ancient stations, debris floating in intricate orbits around a pale, dying star. A massive structure loomed ahead. It was older than anything he had encountered, yet it pulsed with life. Energy flows ran along its surface like veins, glowing and shifting with intelligence. The station seemed aware of him, responding to his presence with subtle vibrations. He docked carefully, feeling the structure hum beneath his ship. Every step he took inside carried a sense of destiny, as though the universe itself guided him forward. Inside, the station was alive with faint energy. The walls shimmered, creating patterns of light that danced across the corridors. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing images of humans and other beings interacting, building, learning. This station had been a hub for knowledge, preserving wisdom from across the galaxy. It had survived the collapse of humanity's colonies, waiting for someone to understand its purpose. At the heart of the station, he found a chamber unlike any other. A central device floated above a pedestal, radiating light that filled the room. The pulse of the signal grew stronger here, resonating with the device. As he approached, he felt a presence gentle but powerful. It was the same energy beings he had encountered before, guardians of humanity's legacy. They did not speak, but their presence conveyed understanding and guidance. The device responded to him. He reached out and a flood of knowledge entered his mind. Formulas for energy manipulation, methods to stabilize planets, and ways to communicate across light years. He saw humanity's past triumphs and failures, their courage, creativity, and mistakes. He understood the energy wave that had scattered human colonies and the efforts to protect knowledge for the future. The beings pulsed with approval. They had waited for someone who could carry humanity forward, someone capable of understanding and acting upon the knowledge preserved within the station. He felt a sense of responsibility, immense yet empowering. He was no longer merely a survivor. He was a guardian of the human spirit entrusted with its preservation and revival. Suddenly, the station trembled. Energy surges rippled through the corridors and alarms echoed faintly. The unstable star at the center of the system was creating gravitational distortions, threatening to collapse the station into its orbit. He knew he had little time. Using the device, he began stabilizing the energy flows, rerouting power and adjusting the station's core systems. Each action required focus and precision. The smallest error could destroy everything. Minutes felt like hours. Beads of sweat ran down his face and exhaustion weighed heavily on his body. Yet he persevered, guided by the knowledge of humanity's endurance. Slowly, the tremors lessened, the energy flows stabilized, and the pulse of the signal returned to a steady rhythm. The station had survived, and with it, the knowledge and legacy of an entire species. Exhausted but determined, he began transferring the stored information to his ship. The device pulsed in acknowledgement, its energy embedding into the ship's systems. It was now mobile, able to carry humanity's wisdom across the stars. With this knowledge, he could locate remaining colonies, understand ancient technology, and perhaps even restore humanity's presence in the galaxy. As he prepared for departure, the energy beings appeared once more. Their forms pulsed with light, almost like a blessing. Though they did not speak, he felt their message clearly. Humanity's spirit must continue, guided by courage, knowledge, and perseverance. He nodded, understanding that the journey ahead was not only his own, but a continuation of everything humanity had ever been. He piloted the ship out of the station and into the heart of the star system. The energy readings guided him to a distant planet, barely visible through the clouds of dust. The planet was strange, with a faint glow that hinted at remnants of human colonization. Ancient cities, long abandoned, dotted its surface, partially preserved beneath layers of time. The signal pulsed toward this world, calling him to investigate. Landing was challenging. The planet's surface was unstable, the remnants of cities scattered and fragile. He carefully navigated through broken streets and crumbling structures, scanning for life or remaining technology. In the center of one ruined city, he found a device similar to the one he had discovered in the station. It pulsed in resonance with the signal, transmitting a record of the planet's history, its people, their culture, and the challenges they had faced. The recordings revealed humanity's resilience. Despite disasters and cosmic forces, they had adapted, survived, and preserved knowledge wherever possible. He realized that humanity had never truly vanished. They had hidden, scattered, and evolved, leaving pieces of themselves across the galaxy. Each planet, each station, each device was a testament to their determination and willpower. He spent hours exploring the ruins, collecting data, and recording what he could preserve. The planet seemed almost alive in its own way, responding to the energy flows of the device and the pulse of the signal. It was as if the world itself recognized him as a part of humanity's ongoing story. He felt a deep connection, not just to the planet, but to the countless humans who had lived, worked, and dreamed across the stars. As night, or the closest approximation in this distant system, fell, he paused to look at the sky. Stars stretched endlessly, each one a reminder of the vast universe humanity had once explored. He thought of Earth, of home, and of the generations that had come before. Though 15,000 years had passed, the spirit of humanity endured, not in numbers but in courage, creativity, and determination. With the device safely secured and the data collected, he prepared to leave the planet. His ship lifted off, engines steady, shields active. The pulse of the signal guided him toward the next destination, another piece of humanity's scattered legacy. He realized that this journey would never truly end. Humanity's story was woven across the stars, and he was now its living continuation. As the ship soared into the void, he reflected on the lessons he had learned. The universe was vast and often indifferent, yet humanity's spirit, its curiosity, courage, and willpower, could endure against the greatest challenges. Knowledge, perseverance, and hope were as powerful as any weapon or technology, and though humanity had faced near annihilation, its legacy was alive in him, ready to spread across the stars once more. The signal pulsed steadily ahead, guiding him forward. Beyond the next star, beyond the next system, there were more remnants of humanity, more mysteries to uncover, and more discoveries waiting to be made. He was not alone. He carried the past, the present, and the potential future of a species that refused to vanish. And as he followed the signal into the endless expanse, he knew that humanity's story was far from over. He had awoken after 15,000 years, but he was not just surviving. He was carrying a legacy that would endure across time, space, and the void of the universe. Humanity had vanished, but its spirit had returned, stronger and more determined than ever. He smiled, gripping the controls, and pushed forward. The stars stretched endlessly before him, full of promise, full of life yet to be discovered, and full of hope. The pulse of the signal in the void was steady, a reminder that humanity, though scattered and challenged, would always find a way to shine.